name is Rachel, Talking Dog Stitcher, here on YouTube and over on Instagram. This is a YouTube channel about cross stitch, and this is Flosstube number 1, Introduction and WIP Parade. This is the first Flosstube that I'm making, and honestly, who even knew it was going to be so terrifying? I'm sat in a room talking to myself, which I do every day, and yet it's terrifying. I think we're on take 34. Hopefully we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. I'm based in the UK, up in Preston. I'm a mum of 2, both under 4 years old. I have 2 cats who are more than likely going to try and interrupt at some point. So if that happens, I'll introduce you. If not, then, you know, we've been left in peace, which makes a change. I'm a process stitcher. I don't really stitch to have things to display. I like to stitch. That's as simple as it is, really. It calms me down, it clears my mind, it relaxes me. I like to stitch in front of the TV on an evening if we're watching a film, something like that. In the car, keeps me from nagging at my husband about his driving. So he appreciates it as well. It's great. I am a very slow stitcher. So my plan is to potentially just do a monthly update so that at least I've got something to show you. Like I say, with the 2 young children, my time is quite limited. They are quite needy, and of course they are my priority. So when I can stitch, I do, and hopefully, like I say, I'll have things to show you. The first thing I have to show you is my most recent finish. I finished something on the 16th of March, and I started it sometime around 2008. So it's only taken me a little while. And you'd think by that time frame that it must be enormous. No. Here is my most recent finish. Winnie the Pooh, Pooh's Flowers by Designer Stitches. Like I say, I finished it this week, and I'll put a little picture of where I intend to hang it just over there. I have my hoop, I have my pom-pom trim, so a bit of a wash, bit of a press, and I will actually get that one displayed. That's the last one of those you're going to see for a while, I'll be honest with you. I have about 30 WIPs. I'm a stitch what you want when you want kind of person, and whatever calls to me is what I will grab to stitch on. Like I say, I stitch for the love of stitching, and that's all that matters to me. There are a few things that are gifts. They've not been promised to the person that they're intended for. They have no idea that they are being stitched. So, you know, I don't like to put pressure on myself, because that's when the enjoyment leaves it for me. I'm going to press pause and gather all of my WIPs together, and we will get straight into the WIP parade. And we're back. Okay, I've gathered all of my WIPs together. I've taken them all out of their bags, so you should see the chaos that's around me. I have 28 WIPs. One of them is a UFO. I will show it anyway, because there are a fair few stitches into it, but I'll go into why that's been UFO'd anyway. I will try and remember to tell you what it's stitched on, what the pattern is, where you can get the pattern, and all that kind of thing. If I forget, please feel free to leave me a comment or send me a message over on Instagram. I'm more than happy to share where I got everything from. You are going to see a bit of a progression for me. There is a point in my stitching journey where I discovered Flosstube, where I discovered that cross stitch doesn't have to come out of a kit, where I discovered the wonders of overdyed thread and linen and even weave, and and some mistakes along the way, but they're, you know, that's part of what makes it fun and what makes it a bit of a journey. So the first one I'm going to show you is one of those that's intended as a gift. I started this in sometime in October 2016. The idea was that my best friend was having a baby and I was going to stitch this for them. Said baby is nearly 6 and she's had 3 children. I've had 3 children, and every single one has been oh no, I'll stitch it for the next one. We're still not there. It is A Snoozy Day by Designer Stitches, a Disney's watercolour one. And I am getting there. This is where I am. Started on some of the back stitching down at the bottom. I need to finish Piglet at the top and get in Roo and then the tree. But like I say, I love how this is coming together. It's a single strand. Some of them are blends where the bottom half of the stitch is one colour and the top half of the stitch is another. It's really fun. I do enjoy stitching this, but as you'll see, I've got so many things in my pile that I just don't get around to it. And that's fine. I've got no more children to try and get it ready for now, so we'll get done when it gets done. I'm in no hurry. The next one that I've got, I was very lucky to get this back when they were still in business. Winnie the Pooh 2. It's a Disney Dreams collection by MCG Textiles. I always get those letters in the wrong order. Very cute. Some petite point in here, lots of French knots and back stitch. I'm really excited to get through this one. First time I'd ever come across working with an even weave, and I did a centre start. This is where I am at the minute. Just a bit of tree and some sky. Again, I'll get to it when I get to it. It's fine. Got a thread hanging in there. So what I tend to do at the beginning of the year is I will get all of my projects out, pick a colour, put it in, and then at the end of the year, if I've still got projects with a unstitched string, those are the ones that I need to do. So I need to get to this at some point this year, and that's how I make sure that every WIP gets touched at some point throughout the year. Okay, so that was started at some point in 2017, early 2017. Both of those is just using all of the kit material. The next one that I've got is also a kit. It was a gift in December 2020. So I got it for my birthday in 2020 by a good friend of mine. I believe it was bought from Amazon, and I've since found out that it's stolen. So I'm going to cover up the website on the front page. But it's Harry Potter badges. And I have found out that these are actually a free pattern. You can find them at The World in Stitches on there, I think is a Tumblr account. And they are really, really lovely patterns. This came as a kit with some off-brand fabric, some off-brand thread, and I'm just going to keep going with it. I also decided to grid my fabric on this one for reasons unknown. I'm not going to be doing it again. And I've only started with Ravenclaw, Needleminder, I'll put in the comment box below where that's from. Felix Felicis Needleminder. And again, that's another one where I've got the thread, so I need to work on this at some point this year to get a little bit of progress on it. That is stored in a lovely project bag from Turtle Bay Stitches on Etsy. I will link them below as well. Okay, this one was started on the 27th of February 2021. Another kit. It's Cat's Chorus DMC kit. Comes with the 16 count blue Ada. Again, another one you can tell I haven't worked on this year. Really cute. Okay, and then this is where I started figuring out that you didn't have to buy a kit. You could buy your own fabric and your own threads. It was an absolute revelation. This is Visit Hogsmeade from Country Magic Stitch. They're on Etsy. They also have their own website. I also have Visit Rivendell that I'm going to stitch for my husband at some point, and they're both going to be on the same fabric. Started on the top left, and that's where I'm at. This was started the 1st of March 2021, so it's already 2 years old, but never mind. And it's on 16 count Zweigart Ada in pewter with the called for DMC. Again, another gorgeous Turtle Bay Stitches bag. Vinyl fronted bag. Gorgeous. Oops, sorry for the zip. Okay, next we have Tequila by Stitch Rovia or Emma Congdon. I started this on the 18th of March 2021, so another one that's 2 years old. It will eventually be a gift for a close friend of mine, but I'm not in a rush. It was potentially going to be for their wedding. They got married last year. Never mind. I got this one off Etsy. And again, another one that hasn't seen any progress this year because you've got the big long dangling string. This is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in antique white. And because I didn't know any better, it's stitched 2/2. So it's chunky. And I don't mind it too much. The only difficulty that I'm having at the moment, I don't know if you can see, there is some little checkerboard pattern going on there. So it is quite difficult trying to fit all of those colours in that checkerboard, but it'll be fine. It says, take life with a pinch of salt, a wedge of lime, and a shot of tequila. Next, we've got classic Lego princesses. This is another one from Etsy. Geo Creations UK, and it's meant to look like Lego minifigures of all of the, well, of a selection of the Disney princesses. I started this the 12th of April 2021. I'm doing this on 14 count Zweigart opalescent white, and I have got some progress in on this year because I started a WIP Go board just like I did last year and petered off after January. So my January call was to finish a princess, and I did. I finished Sleeping Beauty, and I even got started over on Rapunzel down in the corner there. It's going to be quite big, and if I'd known any better, I'd have probably picked a smaller count, but it's fine. I'm looking forward to finishing this one. Hello, one of my cats. And I love the little sparkles in the fabric there. Next one that I started was a New Year New Start 2022, and that was Advent Animals by Brooks Books. And it's a series. They are free on her website. I'll link it down below. And they've all got little numbers in the corners there of all of these creatures. And I'm going to turn these into, hopefully one day, an advent calendar for my children, or at the rate I stitch, probably my grandchildren. We've started with Katie Kitty up in the top, number 1, and also polar bear at number 2. Very little progress, but I have done all 25 outlines. So all I need to do is pick a box and start stitching. And like I say, hopefully one day an advent calendar will be made out of those. I think the first time that I saw those was on Stitching Mommy Flosstube, because she's done them all individually as well. Okay, the next one that I've started is from this book, Cross Stitch for the Soul, by Emma Congdon, or Stitch Rovia as she's also known. It's design 5, which I will just find. And it says, a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. And I love the colours in this one. Those different blues and just a little pop of red at the lighthouse at the top there. This is also being stitched on some 40 count, and I learned from my mistakes. And I'm doing it 1/2. And it's a centre start. Never made a. Just some filling in. There'll be some mindless stitching at some point to get on with that. Okay. Sorry, that one was started the 3rd of February 2022. And it's stitched in the call for DMC. The next one I've got is another freebie. It's called Light. You've probably all seen this. Barbara Anna Designs, Fox in a Dress. I love her. I've seen this on so many floss tubes, and I knew I had to stitch it. I'm stitching her on a piece of Permin linen, 32 count, in Water Lily. And we've gone across the bottom of her dress into those little houses in the corner. Again, called for DMC, and 2/2. That one's kept in a canny little fox project bag with a sparkly vinyl on the front. And again, that's on Etsy. We'll link her down below. How cute. Next is my UFO. So I started this on the 2nd of March 2022. So it's a year old, and it's my first Heaven and Earth design. And apparently I decided go big or go home. So I will pop what it's supposed to look like over there. It's called The Amazing Animal Kingdom by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is how far I got. So you can see the little gorilla done most of. And we started getting into the elephant's bum over there. And I just I saw some pictures online of someone that had recently finished it, and it was absolutely beautiful, don't get me wrong. However, I know how long it's going to take me to do this. I'm going to be stitching this, if I continue, for decades, easily. And I just don't like the quality of the finished picture enough to spend that long doing it, because I don't know what that's supposed to be. At a distance, it's fine, but I decided I didn't want to spend the time to do it. I wasn't finding any joy in it. So I decided to UFO it. And it's fine. I have already grabbed some of the fabric. It was a 25 count easy grid from Zweigart. I've already grabbed it for a project a little bit later on that I'll show you. So it won't go to waste. It was being stored in this amazing bag custom made for me by Turtle Bay Stitches on Etsy. Beautiful fabrics. Never mind. I found plenty other things to stitch, so I'm not concerned. The next one that I started was on the 9th of March 2022, and it was an Owl Forest embroidery. This is Dinosaur Forest. I got it as a kit not too long before Russia invaded Ukraine, to the point where I thought it had been stopped at the border due to the sanctions. So I'm not sure how anyone's able to get hold of the kits like this at the moment, but you can buy the PDFs of these. I'm using all of the kit materials, including their flosses and the 32 count linen. And here is where I've got to. Decided to do a centre start to make sure that I'd have enough border all the way around. Worked motif by motif up to the border, and I will work that border along to the left, the right, along to the right and down, just to see what borders I'm working with. Again, as you can see by the string, this is another one that's not been touched this year yet. But I love the flosses that it comes with. So as a stitch what you want when you want kind of stitcher, that's one where it's got an over-dyed floss, so I'll have to do it one stitch at a time. I've got some that have got big blocks of colour, so if I feel like, 14 count Ada with a big block of colour, then I'll do that. That's my preferred way of doing it, so yeah, that's what I do. The next start was a mere 2 days later. I started my first Mirabilia. I started Cinderella. I was blown away by the amount of beads and specialty threads and stuff, and that's not even one of the more complicated Mirabilias that are out there. So I have a few more in my stash that I will hopefully get round to, but I am only going to do one at a time, because otherwise I will just never finish one. It's on the called for 32 count Zweigart and Smoky Pearl, and I decided to stitch the boring bit first, because if I went straight for Cinderella, I knew I would never come back and do the border. So that is as wide as the border goes in the middle. There's a bit of a banner and motif, just like this side, but I have done my counting along the top, and then I started doing my counting down to the bottom, and it's curled up in there. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. 2/2 with the DMC, 1/2 with the Krynex, and I'm really looking forward to getting to beading and stuff like that, but we're a while away from that yet. Okay, next is a kit that my mum handed down to me. It's a duplicate of one that she stitched for my brother when I was a little girl, so I think she was going to stitch it again, but I said that I'd really like to. And it's one of those I was talking about blocks of colour, 14 count Ada, and excuse me, it's called Rainbow Ride. It's by Design Works, and it comes with this little Kodak picture of the finished product in it, and it is a long piece of Ada, like we are long. So I've done a centre start. He just got his pants there where they're dangling off. Again, another one that's not had any work this year so far. So you're just in there. And like I say, blocks of colour, so mindless, so easy to just sit with in a dim room watching a movie, something like that. Okay, my next WIP, sorry, that one was started the 21st of March 2022. All of the kit, fabric and floss is what I'm using on that. And then another kit, this is a Hobbycraft kit. It's a hobby shop here in the UK. Lovely little Peter Rabbit. Eating too much lettuce makes me sleepy. It's another one that I'm going to pop on my daughter's wall along with my finished Winnie the Pooh. And I started this one the 2nd of April 2022. Using all of the kit material. Much letter makes me sleepy. After that, I decided to go back to Hade, tried a second Heaven and Earth design, and I went much smaller this time. So I first saw this on Lizzie's Little Loops Flosstube, as she's stitching it. She's way further than I am. Story Keep Pocahontas by Melanie Dellen, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is also being stitched on a 25 count easy grid, and I'm stitching it 1/1 full cross with CXC threads. And here's where I am. So you can start to see the outline of her head. And the way I like to do full coverage is a bit of an adaptation of Stitching Mommy's typewriter method, where we pick a colour in the top and then run that thread out all the way down and then go back up to the top. So this corner's starting to fill in more as we go down. It saves me from sitting there thinking, oh, which colour should I do next? Because I'll never get anything done if I keep doing that. Next one is, this was a Facebook Marketplace find actually. It was near me and they were practically being given away. It was a DMC kit, Oceania collection. And I'm using all of the kit materials. And I've not actually seen that for sale anywhere else. Which way up we're going? That way. Just a centre start again. As I'm always a bit nervous with kits that they'll have given enough of a border. So some of them are half stitches, some of them are full crosses to give it a bit of dimension. There's also some very, very pale blue white stitches in there that you can barely see. So there's more than it looks like. I started that one the 11th of April, 2022. Next one we have is from a magazine, Cross Stitcher, issue 380, March 2022. It's by Doreen Jones. And it's called Good Hydrations. And as soon as I saw it on the front cover, I knew I had to get it. I started this the 4th of May, 2022. Started middle top because I couldn't figure out where else to start it, given that it's got a hole in the middle, so I couldn't do a centre start. And it's round, so I couldn't really do a corner start. So I just winged it. And hopefully it all fits on my piece of fabric. Just the top succulent started there. And this is going to be gorgeous when it's done. This is being stitched with the called for colours in CXC again, on a 32 count Zweigart linen in pearl grey. And I'm hoping to get fancy when it's finished and finish it in a hoop with a hoop inside. So it's got like a hole in the middle, like a donut. Whether that actually works remains to be seen. That's what I'm going for. If it ever gets finished, who knows? Next is another kit. This is a Luca S kit. I didn't know about these until I started watching Flosstubes. They are really intricate, really beautiful. This one's sunflowers. It uses the anchor threads. And again, I'm using all of the kit material that it comes with. Another centre start on this one. Let's see if I can figure out which way it goes. And just the side of the main big sunflower and some of the greenery. That was started the 15th of May 2022. I really need to get better. I'm very sorry about keeping it consistent with telling you before, telling you after, making sure I tell you what I'm using. So 5 days later, 20th of May 2022, which is the day before my husband's birthday, I started another project for him. This is Screaming Heart X Stitch video game sampler. I won't read it out, but the accuracy is just beyond. I chose to do it on black because I'm insane. And my start is admittedly quite pitiful. Now, I took this back when I went back to work after having my youngest. My boss was lovely and set me up a little room so that I could pump because my daughter was breastfed. So while I was doing that, I got myself all rigged up and I would stitch. And I didn't do very much. Just the tiny, tiny little bit along the top. But it's got stitches in it, therefore it's a WIP, okay? This is 32 count perm in chalkboard, and I'm using DMC threads on this one. Pathetic little start. Oh, the Needleminder. Again, I'll have to put it in the comments below. I'm very sorry. They're so cute. On the 1st of July, Christmas in July, I started Madame Chantilly's Celebrate Christmas. I got the PDF version to save on postage. I love it. And if I ever finish this one, I'll move on to a different one. I think probably Halloween maybe. Like that. I'm doing it on a piece of 28 count Brittany Lugana in Whisper Grey. See if I can figure out which way around it goes. Again, one that hasn't seen any work, but I will get it out for Christmas in July. Doing it 2 over 2 on the 28 count. There's the tray and that big bauble there on the lowest shelf. That red looks amazing on that fabric. My next start was another Owl Forest embroidery kit. Ordered it at the same time as the Dinosaur Forest. 100 owls. This is actually a freebie on their website for the PDF. I got the kit so that I could get all of the over-dyed flosses as well. And it's such an intricate chart for something that is free. And I think my favourite part about it is that each of the owls in that, and there are 100 owls, is a specific breed, and they name them all for you, so that you know exactly which kind of owl you're stitching. And my start on this is another quite pitiful one. Again, hasn't had any work this year because it's still got that dangling thread right in the middle part of that tree. So I'll get that one out at some point and add some stitches to that. Using all of the kit materials, the Owl Forest embroidery threads. I decided to go, there are a couple of options for what kind of threads that they use. They have a DMC base and they have, I can't remember the name of the other brand base. So they're all DMC base over-dyed threads. Next one is another kit. It's a Letty Stitch kit. It's called Flower Shop. And I'm going to change, it says Charlotte just there. So I'm thinking I might just put my own name there. Maybe my mum's, I might try and gift it to her. But again, not making anyone any promises, as otherwise people will just end up disappointed. It's another pitiful start. I started this one the 30th of the 10th. Oh, this is my birthday start. 30th of October 2022. And it's not had any work since. Just another centre start of that window. And then I did a new start for Christmas. Another kit. I found this on sale at Hobbycraft for half price, and I just snapped it up and started it straight away because I'd gone for Christmas at my parents' house and I hadn't taken any cross stitching with me. We were moving house, so all of my cross stitch was packed. I didn't think to leave anything out, so when I saw this on sale, I grabbed it, I started it. This was started the 5th of December 2022. It's a Dimensions kit, Japanese garden. And I did a centre start on this one as well. I've always wanted to do one of these Dimensions gold kits with the specialty stitches and the numbers of threads and all that kind of stuff. It does take a lot of concentration though. Using all of the kit materials. And this is where I am. Just started on that bridge there and some of the water. Okay, my next start was the 24th of January. I didn't have a new year, new start this year, as like I say, we were in the process of moving house. This, I believe, is called Pumpkin King, but my PDF has the title of a different pattern on it. So I'm just winging it with this one. It's Mama Witch Cross Stitch, Pumpkin King. And I started this, like I say, 24th of the 1st, 2023. It's being stitched on like a raw 14 count Ada. It was part of a competition that I won. And it was this size. It was just the perfect size to fit this on. So we had to do it. And I decided to do this one by colour completing. So that's all of the black. It's all of this orange, and we're just working on this darker orange now. And this is my car project, my travel project, because I've got it on Pattern Keeper. I just keep Pattern Keeper on my lap, my tablet, and this in the hoop, and just stitch. It's really handy, and I love it. Really love that one. I will put a picture of the finished item on the screen because I don't have a cover photo for that one. And the same with this one. This is the British Stamp by Fiddlesticks AU. I started this on the 14th of February this year. I have done a conversion, as you can see, from the green to the purple, because the first class stamps in the UK at the moment are actually purple and not green. And that's where I am with her. And you can tell who it is. As soon as I show this to anyone in the UK, they're like, oh, okay. And also a bit confused, like, why? Lots of block stitching. As soon as I get that first in, then it's just going to be fill in. So there's that. That's another piece of fabric from that box that I won, just a mystery 14 count opal white. And again, that's the size that it came to me, so it just seemed the perfect fit for me to then be able to frame it as well. The next one that I started it's called the Prefect's Bathroom, and I will pop a picture of what it's going to look like just here. This is by Cross Stitch M Patterns on Etsy, and it's on that pilfered bit of 25 count easy grid from my original Heaven and Earth designs. I have got about 400 stitches into this so far, 1 over 1 full cross, just in that corner start. And I'm stitching this one all in CXC threads as well. And again, I'll pop in the comments where that Needleminder is from. I'm keeping that in one that I made myself, which I was so proud of. I followed the instructions by, where is my brain gone blank? Elizabeth Ankin Stitch. I knew it was in there somewhere. Followed the tutorial on YouTube by Elizabeth Ankin Stitch and made my own project bag, and the fat quarters came from Aldi. And then my very last one, I started this one a couple of days ago, 19th of March 2023. It's come from the World of Cross Stitching magazine. From, what's the date on that one? October 2022, issue 324. And I'm doing Nature's Bounty, because look at those colours. And one day I have the fabric on the way, the autumn leaves of autumn, something like that, fabric from Lakeside Needlecraft is on its way for me to do Peter Rabbit. But in the meantime, love it. I'm stitching that on a piece of unnamed 32 count fabric by Coffee Craft Fabric. Starting with that pumpkin there. There we go. And that is it. We have reached the end of my WIP parade. 28 projects, 27 if you don't count my Heaven and Earth design, which I will now permanently put to one side until I can find something to use the fabric for. In terms of plans, I don't really have any plans. I'm a bit of a stitch what you want when you want kind of person, like I mentioned earlier. I have got a WIP Go board. I potentially, if I find myself sort of frozen by the amount of choice that I've got, I'll either spin a wheel or I'll look at the WIP Go board and see what's been called, see what I'd sat down at the beginning of the year and thought I'd like to prioritise those. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep everyone updated on Instagram and hopefully be back here in a month or so to give you an update on what I'm stitching and how far I've come. I will keep some before pictures from this WIP parade so that I can refer to them in future videos, which will be nice. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Feel free to tag me or mention me in any of your Instagram posts or YouTube videos. I'd be flattered beyond belief, and I will see you in a month or so. Bye.